Hey there, and Happy New Year, Tom.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to Free First Monday's Magic.
Ah,
I said it.
let's start the year off.
That's right. It is January 2nd. And I thought this month it might be a cool theme to reflect on new beginnings. I'm not a really big fan of New Year's resolutions. Part of the reason for that is I worked in a health club for 2.5 years. And I saw firsthand how many people would have their New Year's resolution to get fit and they would spend all kinds of money. I was in sales, so this was good for me. All kinds of money in January and February, but by the beginning of March, it would start to peter out. And you'd see these people who are like, I'm going to come in every day and I'm going to do all these things. And some of them would stick with it, but most of them wouldn't. And I thought if New Year's resolutions were really a good way to get ourselves to do things, it probably would work better than that.
Mhm.
And I stopped really enjoying. I like setting intentions. I like having challenges. I like shooting for things, like going for things and having projects. I love doing experiments. But goal setting now mostly leaves me cold. And I think it's because it feels so attached to the result. And I'm just learning that, like, going in a direction and shooting for something specific, but being open to whatever comes along so that it can change in these beautiful ways that unfold in the moment, that seems more like what I'm after these days. But even aside from that, I think we can use the power of our beautiful minds to harness this energy of new beginning in January if we choose. So I think it's a nice reflection on it. But the new beginnings I'm most interested in are the ones that are available in every moment. And I've really seen myself in this in the past couple weeks because I've been traveling a lot, probably more than I like to, like new locations every 2 days, 3 days sometimes. And that's a lot for me. I don't like to acknowledge it. I like to think, oh, I get how all this stuff works. I know what thought is, and therefore I shouldn't. Yeah. That's a bunch of bullshit, clearly, because I get unsettled by it. I see I'm a little moodier than usual. And I've really been seeing that I can hit reset. I can hit the reset button anytime. And I don't always, but I can. It's like, oh, I hit the reset button, and every time just by coming into the present moment. And that's the kind of new beginning that I'm really interested in. And it's always available. So even now, as I'm talking, like I glanced down at a couple notes that I had for this conversation, and I'm like, yeah, no, not saying that. Like, reset. Because here in this present moment, there is something else that's happening. And sometimes it looks like what I thought, but oftentimes it doesn't. And if I'm available for it, if I use this gift of attention that I have to sort of bring myself right here and notice what's happening instead of try to enforce my own agenda on this moment, it's a really fun experiment. It's a really beautiful experience. So that's what a new beginning means to me in this moment. And hi, Peter. Hi, Michaela. Beautiful to see you. And Joe. Wow.
Nice.
Everybody's coming in now. Whee!
Just a quick statement from two things. I realize my emails are so kindly by Gmail being shoved over into promotions. So they're not hitting my inbox. And I realized I now have to look up you, the Awaken Business, in order to make
What?
sure that I'm getting the emails. So now that I know that, I can do it, but it's that, and that's number one. Number two, when I try to click in with the email link, at least as it was coming through through Gmail, Zoom said I needed a passcode to join the meeting. So I went into the Awaken Business website and clicked in from there. Just saying, I love technology. I love it. I love it. And somehow it doesn't always put me in the mood for fresh beginnings.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Admit that.
You know what? I think just acknowledging it. I was just listening to a podcast conversation that I had with my friend Suhair. And what she was saying is that the first step to magic is acceptance. It's like being with what is. And sometimes being with what is this technology really pisses me off. And I feel mad about it right now. Like, this does not put me in the mood for a new beginning. In fact, it puts me on the track to all the times that things go wrong in technology and right. Like, so like, actually, okay, actually beautiful. Actually, let's do that. So thank you, Peter.
I give what I got.
Oh my gosh. And also, hello to Bruce. Nice to see you here today. Oh.
Good morning. Thank you. I finally negotiated getting through, so appreciate being here.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little bit of issue getting here, and I apologize for that. And let me see what I can do to help make that easier for everybody. Thank you for letting me know. So,
Sure, you're welcome.
Tom, what's with all of this? What's coming up for you?
Yeah. Well, I like that you're talking about new beginnings and the moment, right? Because new beginnings could be like something happening in our lives or a goal or something in the world, but there's always a new beginning available. Just when I feel like when I'm like, even today, I started, so I'm taking care of 2 households of animals right now. And so, I'm here taking care of the dog, and then I drive over to my friend's house and take care of their cats for a little while. And, in that time, and what is this? It's like 10 o'clock. So, it's been 3 hours or so that I've been up. In that time, there's this phenomenon where you kind of, maybe you can all relate to, because I think it happens for everyone. You kind of get lost in thought. Either you're like daydreaming a little bit, or you're thinking about something, but it always sort of comes back to a point where you wake up out of it. And this is a phenomenon that I've been really interested in since I first discovered it probably, or had really seen it maybe even 20 years ago. So this was even way before anything that we call the 3 principles. And it was just this phenomenon where you're going along. And a lot of times, unfortunately, I think for me, it can be very negative. It can be worrying. It could be having like an imaginary conversation or even argument with someone in my mind. But what happens is, I wake up out of that. And very often when I wake up out of it, it really feels like, oh, my life is starting right now. So it really is a new beginning. So that happens probably hundreds of times a day. And I think there must be something, since it happens, there's something about the way we're made, that we're kind of made so that we do have this capacity to get lost in thought and then to wake up out of it. Like, there's nothing wrong with being lost in thought. The only time it feels kind of wrong is when it goes to like someone else once described it as going down a dark alley or, in your mind or something, or someplace So appreciating that happens, and it happens without any kind of effort. Having that fresh, you use the word reset. I love that word too, because it's very much like, reset button. It's like, back, oh, I'm back. Okay. And it's really a nice place to be. And it just is, I think it's good to appreciate, and probably also helps in whatever else that I'm up to in my life. I don't know if that's true, but it's just a nice thing. So a fresh, a new beginning in the moment is one of my favorite kinds of new beginnings.
Hmm.
So,
Thanks, Tom.
yeah.
So I'm wondering what is up for you, our beautiful guests and co-creators and conspirators here, around this idea of new beginnings. If there's anything in particular you would like to explore or ask about. And if there is, feel free to either raise your digital hand, your real hand, or just go for it and unmute yourself, because, we're all friends here. Whatever you want. Oh, Michaela's gone for the digital hand. Hi. Oh, I don't seem to be able to hear you. You're not muted. Okay, we'll have to come back when you're ready. Anyone else? While Michaela finds her voice. Another opportunity for a new beginning with technology.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just riff on that for a second. What if all of the times that we've shown up with our computers and our microphones and Zoom and our devices and got frustrated because we couldn't get it to work, like, what if we just wiped the slate clean and we just showed up like a little kid and pushed buttons and tried things? And like, what would that be like? We didn't have an assumption it would work, and we didn't have an assumption that it wouldn't, or that we wouldn't be able to figure it out when it doesn't. Oh.
Yeah, I love that. I love the possibility that it could actually work. That'd be just amazing. None of my email accounts would do anything really stupid like hiding my sent emails in the outbox so I didn't know they hadn't gone. Things like that.
Anything else coming up for anyone?
I've been thinking for a little while that a major metaphor for an awful lot of my life is kind of the mildest word, but still very crazy, but still very irritating to me is it's a trickster scavenger hunt. It's like something designed by, your elder brother, something like that. It's not designed to make you happy, but to piss you off partly. But real parts of your life are there. Real gifts are there. Because I just have that. I have that relationship with God. You can use any term you want to for your experience, but just like I get this guidance, I go down the path, and it's not all roses. It's just not. I get sometimes I think, well, I guess it's what I must have needed, because it's challenging me way beyond what I want to be involved with. Yeah. But it's a scavenger hunt. Stuff is there. Stuff shows up, and including the directions. It's like little notes that say, next time you'll know how to deal with this dark alley. Something like that. I'm just saying it is sort of designed to. That's part of the flavor of my life. I don't think you were saying terribly differently, Tom. I'm just like, this is not a bicycle I know how to balance on. Well, not all the time at any rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's helpful to just say, okay. I don't know. It all for me, if my major mission here is to be a conduit for spirit, that makes sense, because I can do that with all of my faculties busy failing me. Like, well, my only job is to just be open to spirit coming through. And then when I feel like I have my act together and I can go further, faster, or something like that, then see if that's a vessel for spirit coming through. And I don't know if I were really, really committed to being my best at an Olympic level, or like, world champion something or other. I don't think I could make it. It's like, I do not have a path through this life that works when it's like, when I'm trying to guarantee my performance. But in terms of me waking up to being present to what the hell's going on and saying, well, why not reboot? Why not? Why not? It would be more spacious and more helpful if I did. Just come on down to, okay, this is what's going on, and this is what I got. And I can't control the symptoms I'm dealing with, or a lot of other things. But relax a little bit. Something like that. Something like that. If drugs worked for me, I would recommend drugs. If sherry worked for me, I'd recommend sherry. If a good cigar worked for me, I'd recommend a good cigar. Whatever helps.
What does work for you, Peter?
Well, yeah, then that's the thing that's been coming up, like a final big lesson. For the extravagantly introverted life that I have lived, it seems to be that being listened to, being in the presence of somebody else who really doesn't have an agenda for me, that I can float ideas in front of or dance in front of, that's really helpful. And I've been cruising along trying to offer myself that kind of listening, but I think that the thing that I just thought was so rare, and I didn't want to bother other people by asking for it. I'm really at a point, it's been tipped over the edge in the last in the last 60 years. I'm like, no, it's super helpful to just be able to bring what I got in front of somebody. It's just helps a whole lot. So that's one thing. And then getting outdoors, which I don't tend to do in the middle of the night when it's freezing. I'm less inclined to do that. But getting outdoors, walking, I got to say, squirrels are a major part of my salvation. They really are. So those kinds of things.
That's
And
beautiful.
I'm gonna give a certain kind of credit. If this is my brand of cigar, this would be it. So let me pull out an example off this shelf, right? Because I have one right here. There we go.
Who thought we'd be smoking cigars on this
Yeah.
Magic Monday? Metaphorical cigars.
So pretty much anything by Kate DiCamillo. She writes however she's able to do the voice of her writing. It slows me down.
Mm.
And right when her characters are having problems, they're also slowed down. And I'm like, and space opens up.
Mhm.
So she wrote, most people would know her by a book called Because of Winn-Dixie, which got turned into a Disney film. A couple of these things. Flora Ulysses might have been turned into a Disney movie. At any rate, yeah, it's just it's the slowing down. It's like, and odd turns of phrase. Yay, I love odd turns of phrase. Yeah. So
Oh,
I would just say, yeah, that's working too.
yeah. You know what I hear in that, Peter? That these things have in common, the different cigars, flavors of cigars that you're recommending, is that slowing down and space opening up, whether it's being listened to or going out in nature and hanging with the squirrels or reading a book or maybe listening to someone else. You know, wherever that happens for us, that works. Slowing down and being in the space, just being. And to me, that is the reset button. That is the new beginning. And not as a strategy, like hitting the reset button, not as this tactic that I do when I feel stressed, but actually seeing that every moment is fresh, which is very different. When I see it, and I don't always, but when I do, it's just like Tom said, like, oh, I'm awake now. Oh, I'm back now. Something just sort of enlivens in that. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, guys.
And Michaela, do you want to try to speak again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, guess what? I'm kind of blank right now. So can I just hang back and I'll wait till something comes up again?
Of course you
Maybe-
can.
What was the first question that you had asked? And maybe that'll pop something up again. Because I'm just kind of blank.
Blank is nice. I think it was a pretty general question, like what's coming up for you around the idea of new beginnings.
Right.
Well, that's okay, because I have an idea. Do you have something, Michaela, before I?
Yeah, just I think maybe it'll be brief. What comes up is it's like this remembering, because there's not like it seems like I keep remembering that I do have a voice. I keep remembering that out there is helpful when it sparks me. And I thought I was, I'm going to say gaining ground, but it sounds so out there, but really it kind of like gaining ground in having more time to just listen to within instead of all out there, or use like this call, something that I know always sparks something from within me to come. So, and I just really saw again how, wow, I keep getting snuck up on, and catch myself reaching out to the other voices for that guidance, looking to be guided. Just guide me, just tell me what to do and I'll do that. But you know what? I don't. As soon as someone tells me what to do, like a recipe. My husband hates using my recipe books, especially my favorite ones, because I cross things out and crumble and add this in. And it's like, I can't tell what the recipe is. It's like, yeah, I know, because it might change again. So anyway, that's just kind of what comes up, and seeing how challenging it is for me to just be with me, with nothing else, with not listening to anything else, like just being. Wow. It shocked me, shocks me. That's it.
Hmm.
Thanks, Michaela. And it is astounding how it can feel so hard sometimes to, as you said, like just be with ourselves. But the funny thing is that when I'm trying to just be with myself, I'm being with anything but. I'm in the noise big time, but I don't see it. A lot of times I just don't see it. And that's why it feels so hard. And it's okay. Like, damn it, it's okay. I'm really feeling that. This is okay. It's better than okay. Whatever this is, whatever this experience is, like, what if that's really, really true? Even not okay is okay.
There's
I-
something. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to address you. I saw you unmuted. You're perfect.
Thank you. There's something about trying, isn't there? Actually, that gets in the way completely. It's more like catching ourselves out doing. I think it's like if I tell myself, right, try to relax. Yes, exactly. Try to go to sleep. That is a really good answer. Yeah. So trying to try.
Hmm. I wonder if you think about something in your life, maybe a relationship or a certain scenario or role where you'd like to experience a new beginning, a fresh start. And if you think about that, what would it be like if you showed up really fresh and new with that thing? And just like be with the question of that for a minute, be in the space of that. What if I really showed up with this as if I didn't know what it was going to be like? And I want to tell you a quick story about that. That was really a big deal for me. I've had, let's just say, a strained relationship with my mother for most of my life. And every time I would see her, I'd go into the same pattern, her little digs and then my little digs back because I was not going to let her get away with that. And, but even before I saw her, I would be in these stories of like what she was going to do and how it was going to be and how I was going to react this time and not let her get me like that. Right. All these things. And I don't know what it was that some years ago, somehow I just started wondering, what if my mom was a stranger to me? What if I showed up with her like I did not know who she was, what she would like, and I had what she was like. Oh, and I had no history with her. None. What would that be like? And that was a little strange at first. But I started showing up with curiosity with my mother. And I still caught myself go into the stories, but then I would go, nope, you don't know this person. Who is she? And I started to see things in her I'd never noticed before, that I would have sworn to you my mother did not possess those traits or capabilities even. I would have said, no, not my mom. I'm like, oh my God, I even think she loves me.
Hmm.
I didn't even think that was like possible. I think she does. Maybe she doesn't express it the way that I would, or the way I want her to, certainly for much of my life, but oh, what? Huh? How is that possible? And in seeing that with someone like my mom, I started to wonder what would happen if I showed up with myself that way. Like, what if I don't know what Stephanie's preferences are today? What if I don't know how she's going to feel when this scenario happens? And lo and behold, I am surprising myself a lot. For example, I have this story that I hate driving. And then I started noticing that sometimes, I had this like drive and I put on my music and I'm singing and I'd like be so moved that there are tears of joy in my eyes while I'm driving. I'm like, is this the experience of someone who hates driving? I don't think so. What else am I missing out on? Because I have this assumption about what my experience is going to be. And so there really is magic in this, again, not as a tactic, as an exploration for you. And not to try to make it that way, but just to look a little bit and sit with it and go, wow, what if I showed up really like, I don't know with this thing, like I've never seen it before. And I haven't had the million experiences that I think I've had. This is a new one, really. What do you notice about that? What would it be like if you really showed up fresh with that thing that you'd love to have a new beginning with? I see you're still unmuted, Joe, and I kind of feel compelled to call upon you. Is it okay?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, can you ask me the question again?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, what would it be like to show up fresh with something, like really fresh and curious with something that you'd like to have a new beginning with? Be anything.
I think my relationship with my husband would be an interesting one, which actually has improved since our last conversation, I have to say. And it would still be a good one to show up to, as if I had no idea, no expectations, no assumptions. And I was thinking that I was feeling sad when you were talking about your mum, because I had a long, kind of tense relationship with her over many years. And now I don't have the opportunity to turn up with any kind of expectation now that she's gone. So, and I can choose to remember the good stuff instead of the. And my kids remember the good stuff, so that helps.
I think we can still show up fresh with our memories and our stories and like look again. Because I've seen that too. When I look back, even at a painful memory, if I really get curious about it. Like, and I don't go into it, but I notice it. Like and I look for something new. There's always something new to see in it. I wrote a piece about this some years ago when I did some kind of it was a coaching exercise, a visualization of going back into the room of my childhood and seeing what was there. And at first, the room I saw I had these puke colored walls. That's what I used to call them, like vomit colored. It was like peach, pink, orange. Hated it. Begged my mom to paint them. She never painted the walls for me. Of course, I could have. I bought a lot of stuff for myself. I could have painted those walls and I didn't, right? But anyway, there's puke colored walls and all of the emotions that I experienced in that room of like self-loathing and loneliness and anger and fear and anxiety, like this, right? And then I went, wait a minute. What else was in this room?
Yeah.
Wow, there was curiosity and there was love and there were friendships and like all this stuff was there. Did I miss it? I know, like that we can even have a fresh beginning with something that's already happened. Yeah.
Thank you.
And how beautiful that is. I want to say a hi to Sandra. Hopefully I'm saying your name properly. It might be a Sandra.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm late. I tried to get in using the email, but it was asking for a password. Anyway, just to let you know.
you are not alone in that, and I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. And fortunately, I entered that other space, the wide. I don't remember the name right now. And then I could join there. So thank you.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to all of you.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Michaela says you're right on time, and she's right. I like to say that. Like, I've sort of taken that on as my mantra. Wizard is always on time. No, you can't be late. You just show up exactly when you're supposed to be there. It might not be when somebody else thinks you're supposed to be there, but who cares? You're on wizard time. This is a space of magic after all.
Yeah, thank you.
So what else is coming up for you about new beginnings? And when you ponder that, what if I really show up fresh for this?
Yeah.
Whatever this is for you.
Yeah. And, there's another aspect of it, especially with, things that, take place over time, something we're going forward toward the future. And I was listening a couple of weeks ago to Keith Blevins, who people in the Three Principles might know. And it was really extraordinary. He was giving this long training to nurses in Texas. And at the end, he was talking about how when we think about the future, and if we're thinking about the future with like worry or stress, he was saying, well, there's something we're not taking into account. And that is our ability in the moment to have insight. Like for me, when I think about things, I feel like I know the setup. Okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This is how it looks. It doesn't look great, maybe, or looks like maybe it's possible, or it's kind of dicey or probable, whatever, however it looks. But that often I don't take into account what's going to show up for me from the inside when I get to those moments. And it's not just insight, it's like, inner strength, intelligence, magic, all the things that we have in us. And so I think that's just very helpful to consider when we're starting, especially when we're starting new things. A metaphor for that would be like if you were, sent across the world to some new destination, right? And you didn't really know much about it, but how things worked. but you were going. Now consider being sent on that trip and someone gives you an unlimited bank account. All of a sudden, it may change the way you think about the trip that's coming up. It's like, wow, well, if I have an unlimited bank account, gosh, there's probably not all that much to worry about because I have an unlimited bank account. And part of what Keith was talking about and what I've been seeing too is just the idea, and it's more of an idea for me, honestly, than a reality. But it's like, wow, what if I have the equivalent of an unlimited bank account in me to face anything that I'm facing? Like, holy crap, like really? Like even just saying that, there's this little feeling, and there it is, it's kicking in just by considering that it's there. But I think that's just it's nice to be able to look at things that, are going to happen in the future or working toward the future, but to look at it with a fuller vision of what we have going for us, that we already have going for us inside. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe we have an unlimited internal bank accounts.
I love that, Tom. I think I want to. Oh, I definitely want to have an experience of a new beginning with short-term travel, right? Like this is something I was just saying has been coming up as a stressor in my life. It's like I'm a couple days here, I'm a couple days there, and there's no time for me to settle in. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here. I mean, it's very different. It looks different to me than it did years ago. Years ago, oh my goodness, when I got to a new location, I needed to kind of orient myself and put down roots by establishing a routine immediately so that I could, I knew where I was, like I had my things, and it wasn't about things as much. It was like the things I do, like, okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do my little yoga and I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to have my things and I know where they are and I'm going to exercise. And this is where I'm going to exercise. And this is how I'm going to do it. And this is, all these things, right? And I needed that. At least I thought I needed that to feel okay. And it's not like that for me now. But I still feel like a little, I don't know where I am. I don't know where things are. I don't know how to get places that I want to go. I have to figure it out. And I'm not showing up then fresh. I'm showing up with my stories about what I don't have instead of opening up to that infinite bank account.
Yeah.
Accessing it, just knowing it's there and seeing what occurs to me. And it still works. I'm just not going easy. It's still there.
Yeah. Like in those cases, you can have those same thoughts, but then you can also say, oh, I don't know how to find things, but I'll probably figure it out. It's just not, or I may not get my exercise routine in. You'll be like, well, I'll be okay anyway. I'd like to do it, but I'll still be okay.
Yeah. And also I encounter a problem and something occurs to me to move through it. I might go kicking and screaming with it. I might throw a fit. It's still working.
Yeah.
Still a new beginning.
So your ability to solve problems doesn't disappear when you move to a different location.
Nice. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, nor does my ability to take care of myself and know what my body needs. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And I wonder also, if we look at it the other way, in those places in our lives where it feels really easy to show up fresh and just drop all of the noise in our heads, like being outside, or maybe sometimes in what we do as work or art or play or sport. Maybe we don't lose that when we go into a tough area either. That
Yeah.
ability to just show up in the flow and
Yeah.
enjoy and relax.
Mhm.
That's portable too.
And you can also see it looking backwards too, because I was having this moment last year when I was at a bus stop. They always seem to happen at bus stops, but I was having this, this sort of like, what if like something that happened 10 years ago? What if I was still in that job? What if I was still living in that place that I love so much? What if this didn't happen? But then the thought occurred to me, well, whether that happened or not, would mind consciousness and thought be any less powerful than they are? Would I have any more or less creativity? Would I have any more or less? And it's that internal account again, like, oh, that would be just as powerful. I'd still have that. And it just helped me kind of more let go of some of those things that have been like past disappointments and regrets. Because, there's so much that has never been lost, is still available. So.
Mm. I'm curious. What are you noticing? Maybe there's something new that's showing up right now. Could be a question. Could be a nice feeling.
For me, in this moment, there's something around time, planning. Time is a thing. It's something I've kind of felt very challenged by. And I have a very active mind. So I feel like I'm always trying to wrangle my thoughts and like send it in a direction and stick with it. So I'm curious what will come up now in playing with the idea that I have no idea how I create or how I plan, how I want to ixnay the word plan and just see what happens if I just go with the moment. I used to say that I coached moment to moment living because I really saw it like that. And then marketing people kept saying, what does that even mean? I have no idea what you mean. Don't use that. It doesn't know it. It's like, oh, okay. But really it so is what Tom had said earlier, something, and what popped up again was, yes, it's moment to moment. Every moment is a new beginning. Can be. So I'm just going to see what happens, because today was going to be a planning day. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I wonder what happens when if I show up fresh with time, like without my assumptions about how time works. What do I see? Or how much time something takes. I don't know about you, but these last 52 minutes have felt really long. Not in a
Mm.
bad way, just like spacious. I'm like, whoa, these minutes are like, there's a lot of space in them. How did that happen?
That's really interesting because I looked at the time a couple of minutes ago and couldn't believe how much time had flown past. Well, I'm in the same meeting as you, Steph.
Hmm.
And I noticed myself having a real peaceful feeling.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to throw my laptop out of the window, so I'm not going to follow that one of Sid's.
I wouldn't find the actual doing of that very funny, Joe, but the thought of you throwing your laptop up, like, I got a nice feeling. Goodbye. It's really funny.
I mean, there are times when I feel like throwing it out of the window, but not because I've got a really good feeling.
Mm. We have time and space apparently for at least one more person to share if you'd like. Do I see Cheryl's hand?
You do.
Hi.
Hi. So what is coming up for me to share is what I consider my like new beginning happened, with working with Stephanie a few years ago. And and the experience that I have daily is that fluid, just joy moving through everything and things that I never, ever would have thought that I could do, would never even thought that I wanted to do. Just they're there and they come to me. It's like, what? And it's because I meet these moments without that expectation, without a feeling of I used to feel like I was some sort of, I guess, suffer from imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not a writer, I'm not an artist, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I kept like setting myself up with those limitations. And it's fascinating to me once you actually let that go, what buoyantly blossoms up and just allows not only for myself, but for so many people around me, like so many connections. And it's truly astonishing. So, it seems like every single day something like that happens, even in tiny little moments that are between like a family member or my dog and I, to other moments that are more public. Like, I'm a content manager right now. What? What? I'm getting paid to write? Like, that's just blows my mind. And it just, again, it's that feeling of just trust. I can do no wrong, because I intuitively know I'm not doing things to harm myself. I'm not setting out to set these limitations and being crushed by this sense of time or pressure. It's like an actual grateful, just being in what I'm doing. And that just starts creating and flowing and moving. And it doesn't take away any of those other human like responses. I get tired, I get fatigued, I get short with people, but it's not, that adds to the beauty of everything of what I'm doing. It's like, I don't even know how to add words to it a lot of the time, but nothing is hard anymore like it used to be. Like it just seemed to be, I was always trying to figure out what was going on with me, or what the motivation is, or what I wanted, and where the goals were, and ticking the boxes. And it's like, I don't do that anymore, but somehow I'm more organized than I've ever been in my life. So I don't know how that works, but when you stop with your own resistance, all you're left with is that buoyant flow. So you can kind of kick back and relax, like a little, like those floats down the lazy river, just like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And it's not, there's places where it gets a little bit darker and a little more entangled, but the same principles apply. Oh, I'm not going to be stuck in some sort of fear about it. It's like, oh, what's in this right now? And it's usually an amazing experience, even if it is confronting uncomfortable feelings in me. And yeah, so that's where I've been ever since. And I always like to bow to Stephanie a little, because it's like she literally just turned my shoulders around and said, wait a second, whoop, look that way. And that's all it took. I was like, oh, look this way. And that happens every day, every moment. It's like, okay, where's the other perspective? Like there's always a 360. And I love that. Like I freaking love that.
Yeah.
And I get stupidly excited about it. So anyway, I think we're about time. So thanks. Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh my God. Thank you, Cheryl. And I'm so glad that you said that. You described it as like, she took my shoulders. I don't even know if I took her shoulders. I just went like, what if you look over there? Like, seriously, that little, it had nothing to do with me, because she had to look. And the look was actually like inside to what she knows about herself, to what we already know about what we are, to what's already always here with us. That buoyancy, that aliveness, that infinite bank account. That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for starting a new year, a new month, a new week with us. And yeah, apologies about the challenges getting in. I will address that. And also, you're invited back for the 4th Tuesday. We do a love in action conversation. Tom and I will be there. And it's kind of like this in the context of sharing what it is that you've seen that's helpful for you. Many of us are coaches or teachers or facilitators of some type. So it's just a little bit more in that context, but you're welcome to that as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.